Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and well, I wanted to do this video for a while now, but everything is always changing on this truck. But I think I finally got it under wraps, and it should stay this way for a minute longer. But this will be the full overview and walk around video of my tow rig. This is 100% tow rig. This is all I use this truck for, is towing. And it is a 2008 and it is a 5500 truck. Seems to be kind of a hard bird to find, is a third gen that's a 5500. I looked and scoured the whole country trying to find this truck. Low miles with a stick shift. It has a G56 manual transmission in it. I bought this out of Texas and it had 48,000 original miles on it. They upfitted the flatbed on it. It is a North Star flatbed. It has been a pretty nice flatbed, not gonna lie. The skirted, this is my first flatbed on any pickup I've ever had. So the skirted flatbed with the toolboxes added in, that's a big perk. I try to keep this truck as light as I can, but we'll go over the whole outside of the truck and go into the toolboxes in a second. But I just want to touch note on everything that I've done to this truck, and hopefully the spending spree is over. So we'll start at the front here. It was like the first week in, because I store this at my dad's house, and he has customers coming in the yard and they get kind of close to this thing. So I put the bumper on it, and not a week later I hit a deer. So good thing for the bumper. And it is a ranch hand, pretty simple bumper. They're not very expensive, and they still take a little while to get. But what I like about them is they got a hitch receiver right here in the front, so I can put my winch off the trailer onto here. Standard little flat bar. Then I got some runners down there. The grill was originally black, but I'm favoring chrome lately, so swap that Larry out. 4th gen style tow mirrors, big upgrade. Those things are so nice, especially if you're running your tow mirrors out all the time. Those are definitely better, because that Horizon, I've said it before, those things are a must, and then you get little blinkers on the side. Then I just upgraded these bird style Koas. That was a long time coming for that, so I'm glad to see that on there. So we work our way back here. The toolboxes, like I said, I like to keep them empty, and so I'm keeping down on weight overall. But this one, got my standard. I got extra tie downs, pretty much every one of them it seems like, and then I have my handy toolkit. Those Craftsman toolkits, those things are a lifesaver. They have pretty much everything you need for a small little project. And yeah, I have one of those in each truck. Keep my main Scotch block right here so it's easy to get access to. 37-gallon transfer tank. I don't want a big tank on this because it'll hurt my overall weight, and I'm already kind of pushing it. Back here, just extra chains and extra stuff there. As for my spare tire, I did custom mount that up there because there's nowhere else to put it, and I wanted it out of the way. Pretty happy with that location. People say it looks goofy, but I like it. I think I've seen one guy since I put that up there have his there. And then that is a little tiny light bar, and that thing is a bright SOB. We'll go to the trailer here next while we're working this thing over. Oh, and by the way, that's for looks. There's no actual def in there. That just goes to nothing. But I thought it was funny. The trailer is a 2017 Texas Pride. It is a 30K rated trailer. I've had some questions on this before, a whole video about it, but since I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and knock it all out. But it's a 20 foot plus 5, and that means 20 foot deck plus 5 foot dovetail. And Texas Pride, they've treated me very well. Had a couple issues with their trailer, but for the most part this last couple years it's been holding up solid. It does have electric drum brakes, which for the weight is not perfect, but it'll do the job. I'd very much like to upgrade those. And the axles are no longer oil bath. I put grease in there because it kept popping oil seals, and that is bad news for everybody. Or monster ramps, or whatever they like to call them at Texas Pride, those things weigh an absolute ton, and I'm not a fan of how their spring setup is. But the trailer is kind of crude and gets the job done. I added this box here that keeps my Scotch blocks for the trailer, and a couple other runners for the back. And when I was talking about my winch, this trailer did not come with a receiver hitch right here, but I didn't want to have a full-time winch on the front of the truck, and I don't even really care for it on the trailer full-time. But it's been on here for a minute because I had used it and never took it off, I guess. But it is a 12,000 pound, it's a Harbor Freight winch, and this thing is a savage. It's the same one that I have in my 04 front bumper. And I made a little bracket here for it so that it'll swap and interchange in the receiver hitch from this one or the truck. That's 12K. don't expect a ton out of it, but doubling the line, it'll get the job done. For pulling on a pickup or a car or something, that thing, big time lifesaver. I've always wanted to have one of those on a trailer and finally got that. Overall, the truck is in solid freaking shape for a 2008. Seats are still in good condition. No power, anything was in this truck, so I had to add this. I got power mirrors and power windows on the front too. That, you gotta have that. I mean, crank windows, no. You need the power windows, power mirrors especially. But there's a bird right there. That's the main reason I got this truck, was for that right there. Got the stick shift. Couple extra goodies in here. I'll go into depth under the hood stuff, but it does have BD exhaust brake switch hooked up to the factory exhaust brake. Everything else in here is pretty simple, stock stuff. It does have one of these set up, and that is just for gauges. Here I have some glow shift gauges. I just have pyrometer and fuel pressure. Got to have your basics, got to have your high visibility, and you got to have your pistol. Some electrical stuff just in case you lose a light. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look under the hood, because I've spent quite a few dollars underneath the hood of this truck trying to, I don't know, please the temperature gauge and every little other thing, and big lessons have been learned through this whole process. But like I said, this truck, I've aimed it just strictly at towing. So we'll start with the intake and exhaust end of things right now. The truck has an S&B cold air intake on it. It has a 64mm VGT turbo steed speed. It's just a standard 3rd gen style T4 manifold. The exhaust got a little messed up, but it does have Flow Pro and MBRP on it. The truck does require cabin chassis stuff, but I made do because I did not want a 5-inch exhaust on a full-time tow rig, because that's just too loud even with a muffler. So the truck has a 4-inch, slightly altered from a stock regular 25 or 3500 truck pickup, but it worked just fine. Coming through more of the intake system of it, it has a BD coolant intercooler. That was a big upgrade, because these particular trucks, for a 3rd gen one, they were literally 1 inch wide. Very minimal flow through that. Then to top it all off, I ended it with a Banks Monster Ram intake horn. That thing is a big old bird right there. If you've never seen one of those in person, those things are freaking fat. Ignore this cluster of stuff right here. That goes to my pack brake stuff. It was neatly tucked away underneath, but it snagged something, so I had to get it out of the way. As far as cooling goes on this truck, it has a fleece coolant bypass on it, and I highly recommend getting one of those if you're doing full-time, full load. This trailer and truck combination weighs about 19,000 pounds empty, and I put 20, 21, maybe a little more on the deck. Coolant is, you know, keeping everything cool. That's your friend. If you can keep stuff cool, that's better off. And the coolant bypass isn't really to keep the overall engine cool, but to keep that back half of that engine cool is a big must, in my books anyway. I think that greatly improved cooling equality across the whole board. And you notice these two, they did go to something else before, but now they go to a secondary radiator that I have tucked in underneath in the bumper there. I just flip a switch, it has an electric fan on there. That thing definitely helps keeping everything cooler. It also has a all aluminum radiator. Big combination, all of those together, that really help keep everything cool. Right now it's in a spot where I'm pretty happy with it. It could run a little bit cooler, but I'll be honest, my 4th gen, that thing, it runs quite a bit cooler. But the truck is studded. It does have 425 ARPs under it. Pretty happy and feel good about actually having those on the truck. Everybody hit me up pretty hard about getting those when I was running tunes and everything on this. It does have EFI Live on it. I don't like to tow more than tune 3 at most. I keep it probably on 2 most of the time. Other than that, it still pulls freaking solid. For my brakes right now, like I said, I do have the factory VGT turbo, just a cheated 64mm. That does a pretty good job alone. But then I have Pack Brake's load leash engine brake on there. It's a weeper system. I've made plenty of videos about it before, but the combination between those two is great as far as engine braking, going down a long hill. Retarding horsepower is awesome with that setup. Highly recommend that if anybody's doing a lot of towing, especially with heavy weight. I've always said, and still say it, exhaust brake holds back 20,000 pounds behind your truck pretty well. Anything heavier than that, I highly recommend stepping up and getting a load leash. It's not the hardest thing in the world to install. You could probably knock it out in a day. More confidence you have when you're towing if you have that on there. So that was a big game changer for that. And if anybody's wondering, there's a lot of horsepower going from the engine to the G56. It does not have the dual mass clutch in it anymore. It does have a South Bend dual disc. I don't know if the dual disc was actually full on necessary. I'm not dumping that kind of mean horsepower. The dual disc is very annoying, kind of loud, but I felt like I would go over the top and make sure it's okay. I think on my 3500 I'll probably just go with a mean single disc for the next round, so I just don't have to hear it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it in a lump sum right there of everything I've added to this truck. Right now I do not plan on adding anything more to this truck. One thing I did miss is when you turn on the light bar on the back of the truck, it does turn on running lights on the trailer to help you back up the trailer at nighttime or load your equipment. Overall, I'm pretty dang happy with how this setup is. There's a lot more money into that truck right there than I ever expected to have spent on it. Just starting off with a delete and everything just snowball effect and ended up being so much more. Pretty happy with it though. Right now at almost 57,000 miles on the truck, it is pretty much a beast. It tows great. Stick shift, it's kind of getting faded out, so it's kind of neat to still be in the better end of it. Get it. If I was to start it all over again right now, I probably would have gone 4th gen 5500 with an Ison. I've said that before, but it'd just be a lot easier, and I probably wouldn't touch anything at all underneath the hood, because you start adding parts and tunes and everything to it. It just, you're chasing power and you're chasing cooler temperatures. I like this setup. I think it's kind of cool, and it's definitely unique. I don't see hardly anybody towing with a 3rd gen 5500, let alone one with a stick shift. And this trailer, I would like to upgrade this thing pretty soon. If you're watching this video still to this point, I know, guys, I mean, it's not recommended, and I kind of feel retarded for saying this, but you can't really get Dexter axles with disc brakes in a 15K format. I've heard some guys say that they 12K axles have the same bearings in it, and they just upgrade the wheels to 17.5 and get the higher rated wheels and still run it. But I would like to get the 20+10 hydraulic dove, and I would really like to get disc brakes. I would really like to do that with Dexter axles so that I have some confidence in the axles that are underneath the truck and trailer. But if you guys have any information on that setup, let me know. I know it's not recommended and it would be overloading the setup, but I just want some input just to see how many people are doing it and how well it's worked out for them. But right now it does have 15K axles under it. I've had no real issues with bearings or any of that stuff, except for the wheel seals on the backside leaked and contaminated the inner brake drum and caused me to have no brakes. Anyway, gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit them buttons, like, comment, and subscribe. BeBeltandSon.com, check it out. That's where we're selling hats, jackets, and the Bad Cherry keychain should be going up on there fairly soon. But thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.